Listen to me. We know that a great deal of the Republican candidates who ran in 2022 were Trump endorsed candidates. They were election deniers. Most of these people were pushing the theory that Joe Biden cheated the 2020 election. Matter of fact, let me erase that word. I wouldn't call it a theory. I mean, it's widely called the big lie. Now, here's the thing. Now we've seen you're talking about people like Mehmet Oz, for example, a guy who is obviously not bright. And all he was talking about was Joe Biden cheated, Democrats are communist, Trump is still president, blah, blah, blah. And of course, Marjorie Greene and Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan and Lauren Boebert and all the Trump supporting Republicans, they went behind that and they continue to push that. Now, I'll tell you this. Now, any liberal could sit there and say, oh, those people are idiots. And I mean, of course, some of them had won. Unfortunately, Lauren Boebert almost lost. That would have been amazing to see. I would have got a bottle of champagne for that one. But, here's what I debated Democrats about. I've debated Democrats about this one. I said, I'm not worried about Mehmet Oz because he was way too openly moronic. And every time he opened his mouth, his chances of winning just got lower and lower. It's like he wanted to lose, which he was successful in doing that. And there were some other people, too. I mean, you had the Republican guy that ran for governor of Pennsylvania, the Republican guy who ran against, I think his name, Blake Masters, who ran in Arizona against Mark Kelly. He lost. Then there was the lady who ran for governor in Oregon, who ran for the Oregon governor's race. But I'll tell you something about J.D. Vance. And I want liberals to really pay attention to this one. Democrats, pay attention, because I'm not defending him. And I'm not supporting him in any way, shape, or form, as I don't support any Republican at all in any way, shape, or form. But he, unlike the others, at least he sounded more reasonable, not necessarily with what he was saying, but how he said it. Now, yes, he did promote the big lie, and yes, he continued to promote the right-wing conspiracy theories. I'm sure he probably believes Pizzagate. You know, he probably believes all that stupid mess and garbage about the Obamas and the Clintons, doing whatever in the forest, spirit cooking and worshiping, all that garbage. He probably promotes, things like that. But when he got up on the debate stage with Tim Ryan, now Tim Ryan crushed him in the debate. Even people who didn't support Tim Ryan had to admit that. Now, if you have a debate with somebody like a Mehmet Oz, somebody like a Lauren Boebert, a Marjorie Greene, a Jim Jordan, people like that, they could be asked a simple question. So where do you stand on wages? Where do you stand on healthcare, education, workers, stimulus checks, the economy, foreign policy? Where are you at on these things? And most of them would just give the answers of Joe Biden is a communist. And he was put there and he was elected, he colluded with China. And, just Democrats are bad, communists, the Democrats cheated. And Trump is still president. Hillary should be in jail. Just stuff like that. Obama wasn't born here. Stuff like that. However, J.D. Vance is just smart enough to not give those type of answers and to not say things like that. At least not, he knows when to shut his mouth at the right time and he knows when to, what and what not to say at certain times. When he was asked questions like that, he actually sounded reasonable. Now, I can't remember the verbatim, but it was somewhere along the lines of, well, blah, 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 and here's, our unions and blah, 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 the workers and blah, 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 the wages and blah, 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 foreign policy and our countries. And at least he sounded like he was making sense. Now, of course, most of us know that, he's a bit of a BSer too. But I told Democrats, I said, listen, that's why the poll numbers were essentially tied between him and Tim Ryan. And Tim Ryan was leading most of the polls on average by 1 to 3 percentage points. And I try to tell people that's what we call the margin of error, which basically means that the poll numbers are so tight that it could really go either way. So, I told him, I said, listen, this guy could win. He could win. I hope he doesn't, but he could. And unfortunately, he did. And yes, I was upset and disappointed that night But we're stuck dealing with him for at least 6 years. And I'm going to reach out to Ohio Democrats and tell other people, like, hey, we're going to just have to try harder next time. You know, we're not going to sit here and act like a bunch of kids and try to overturn the election. We're not going to go storming capitals and storming buildings and threatening to kidnap governors and senators and congress people, or talking about shooting people because we don't like them or anything like that. We don't have to escalate to that because we know we're better than that. But I just wanted to get that out there. This is what I told Democrats. It would have been so amazing if Tim Ryan had won that seat. And also if Val Demings and Charles Booker and Mandela Barnes had won their seats too. We would have for sure secured a real majority in the Senate. And we don't have to worry about the likes of Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, who, by the way, just officially left the Democratic Party to become an independent. But people, this is what I'm talking about. I remember a lot of you had seen a video that I did in the past called What Bush and Trump Proved. And what they proved is that when people don't get out to vote and they take an election for granted, we could very well lose. What did everybody say about George Bush and Donald Trump? And what we continue to say, that they're idiots, that they have little to no. George Bush had little experience. I mean, he was a one-term governor in Texas, and Trump had even less experience, which is no experience. And yeah, obviously they both are not that bright either, but that shows you right there. If they can win, anybody could win. So people, we just have to continue to stomp the ground every single time. It doesn't matter if the person is a Trumper, right-winger, conspiracy theorist. It doesn't matter. You have to get out to vote, and you have to encourage others to vote, and you have to get out there to promote the vote. We have to do that in every single state. We have to do that in every single county, every single city, every single neighborhood, and in every single election. City council, school board, mayor, state representative, state senate, county commissioner, county executive, the state Supreme Court, Congress, Senate, president, all of it. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't exactly know what he's going to do. He may not be that bad. He may be that bad. We don't know. We have to wait and see. So people, the point is, get out there and vote. Promote the vote. Vote, vote, vote.